This little overlocker is a BabyLock EA-605 and I'm going to show you how to thread the machine. It's a twin needle machine. It has a 2-thread overlocking or serging stitch and a 2-thread chain stitch. Going for a top-down view here to make it a little bit easier to see, so just for the positioning of the thread masts here, I've done a video on making sure the thread masts are lined up correctly, so I'll put a link in up here somewhere to the video there. And so first of all we'll start by putting on our cones here, and this mast here, loop, should be directly above this cone. Likewise with this one over here, should be directly above that one, and these two here. So that should all line up, and then we'll just bring our thread through. We'll do that for all four, and now I'll take you down to the machine and show you how to thread the machine. So once we've got the spools on there, if we have a look on the top of the machine, there are 3 holes along the top on the handle here, but we'll only be using 2 of them. The reason they have 3 is probably for a slightly different model. They just use the same handle. So we'll be using these 2 and these 2 loops here. So we'll start with this thread here, that's the very left hand one, and come down through the handle, the hole in the handle there, and straight down through this top tensioner thread guide here. So we'll get all of the threads to that point there before we go around the tension discs. So that's the first one. Next one is the next spool in to the right. I'm working left to right here, so down through the hole in the handle, and next one is going to go down through this second tensioner here, through the little hole here in the thread guide, and then we'll do these 2. So the next thread along from left to right, this one here, and we'll go into the left hand one of these 2 here, and then the last one, the right hand thread, will go into here. This tensioner here, so it's 1, 2, the third one down, this is the overlocker looper thread. I'll be referring to these as overlockers rather than sergers. It's just that that's what I was brought up calling them. This one, the second one down, is the overlocking needle thread. Alright, so those 2 are the overlocking, and these 2, this one up here just out of shot, that one there, and that one are the chain stitch. So that's the chain stitch needle thread, and that's the chain stitch looper thread. So we'll start by threading the overlocking. So we've come down through the thread guide here. Next guide is on this plate here. There's a hole on the left hand of the plate, just through there, and then we come in through this eyelet here, like so, and then we're going to go around the tensioner, around the tension discs here, in between the tension discs. So you can see that I've put the thread in between these 2 tension discs here, and that's really important. You don't want to be going in behind or in front of both tension discs in between the plastic there. That's not good. You don't want to be going around the back so that the thread's not going through the tensioner at all. You want to come in through the tension discs there, and you'll see it pull in like so, and then you want to come over this spring here, so around the back of this spring, like so. So when there's tension on there, that spring's going to pull down like that. So it's coming around the disc, in between the two tension discs, and over the back of that spring to here. So it should look like that. So I'll do the same for any tensioner that has a spring like that. It's a check spring. I'll be doing the same thing. So now we're coming down through a hole in this plate here, and it's the top hole I'm going to go through here. Just like that. And then nice and easily, because this is a 2-thread overlocker, we just go straight through the eye of the looper there now. That's this part here. So the looper, I'm turning the hand wheel there, that's the motion of the looper, and just go through straight through the eye and pick it up at the back like that, and that's that thread ready to go. So the overlocking needle is the second tensioner down. So the thread we're dealing with here is the second one in from the left that we threaded through the handle here. So we're coming down through the second tensioner disc here. So this is the top one, the next one down, that's the overlocking needle tensioner. Bring the thread down in between the tension discs, around and over the spring like that, and then we're going to head up to this little hole here through that thread guide there, and then just straight over this bar here, and then down through the right hand hole of this bar here. There's two holes here, and the right hand one like so, and then there's a thread guide very close to the needles there. So at the top of the needles is a thread guide here, through there like that, and then straight through the needle eye there from front to back on the right hand needle, because the right hand needle is the overlocker. Just like that there. By the way, I'm doing this with the presser foot off just to make it a little bit easier to see. So if you wanted to, you could at this stage, if you're just going to use the 2-thread overlocker, you would remove this left hand chaining stitch needle and install the presser foot if you have taken it off, and you're ready to go. But we're going to use the chain stitch here as well, so let's get that threaded up. There's a really handy threading diagram on the inside of the side panel there, so it shows you the overlocking threads in blue. So we've done the looper one here and the needle one here, and the next one to do is the ones in red that are the chain stitching. So the chain stitch looper thread, this thread here, it's the right hand most spool there, down through the right hand hole, down through this lower thread tension disc here. Now there's no spring on this one, no check spring, so just between the discs, and then we're going to go through this lower hole here and that plate there, and then the next loop is this little loop here, little spring loop. I'll get a closer view of that for you. Straight through this little loop here, twist the thread over, through that little loop. So from there we go up to the looper. So this is the chain stitch looper here. Just turning the machine over so you can see that's the looper motion there. And then it's just a matter of threading through this right hand looper hole here from right to left. Let's get in for a closer view there. So just a matter of right to left through the back there, and then if you're lucky you can just go straight in through the left hand hole there. So that's the left hand looper hole there, and then you should be able to just get your tweezers around the back and drag that through like that. That's the chain stitch looper threaded, and now it's just a matter of doing the chain stitch needle thread. That's the top tensioner disc here. So we'll take the very left hand thread there that we threaded through the handle, down through the eyelet there, around the tensioner, through the between the discs, over the check spring like that, and then through the top hole here. And this one, the chain stitch thread, needle thread, goes through this little take up lever here, through that loop there. Okay, and then over this bar, and then we come down to this little plate here with the two holes. So the right hand hole's got the looper needle thread, the left hand hole here I'll thread the chain stitch needle thread through there, and then just the same again front to back. Just like that, and now we should be ready for overlocking and chain stitching. That's a 2-thread overlocker and a 2-thread chain stitch. So although this machine is a 4-thread, it is quite a different configuration from a standard 4-thread, where you would have both of your needles forming the overlocking stitch, whereas this actually forms two separate stitches as such. Okay, I've got the 4 threads coming out the back of the under the presser foot there. We should be all set to sew along here. Now I can see the tension's not quite right there. That is the needle tension is too loose and the looper tension is probably too tight. The looper tension is the sort of narrow one there that you can see on the top of the seam, and the needle thread is the one that's coming around the edge of the fabric there. So I'll just tighten up the needle thread and loosen the looper, and we should be a bit closer. The chain stitch looks fine. Overlocking tension's looking better. That's the little BabyLock. Very nicely made machines. I think they're made by Juki in Japan. So yeah, I hope you liked that little video on threading the BabyLock EA-605. Thanks for watching.